We are back, episode 15 of the Paradox Podcast with my brother Jeff. What's going on, Jeff?
All is well. All is
Yeah.
well.
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I feel like we're back in the swing of things.
Yeah.
So I've been just thinking about stuff to talk about, thinking about stuff to do, like around Senia. But it's been fun. It's been fun, honestly. I feel like the more I listen to podcasts and I watch ours, I'm kind of like, oh, yeah, these guys are good. Well, I mean, not us, but I was talking about like, when I listen to somebody else's, I was like, okay, they do that really well. And then I look at, I listen to our stuff and I'm like, oh, okay, I like us, but I like the way we're moving, if that makes sense.
The only time I feel like I can speak for the both of us, I feel like the only time we were like this was because we weren't confident in our knowledge. But really, if you know what
Mhm.
like, not that quality doesn't matter, but you can kind of get away with free alternatives or a less expensive setup when you just know what you're talking about.
Exactly. And I feel like the knowledge aspect of what we're doing, I think has been carrying the podcast so far. You know what I mean? As we just try to figure out like whatever flow, momentum and stuff like that. But I always been like pretty confident at like what we, hit upon and yeah, that I feel like that brings me in nicely into what I was thinking about. We talked a bit off camera. We keep talking about like series, for each of us. And I've been trying to nail that down for Senia, and it's not something that comes naturally, like I should say instantly, but we've kind of found our ways to make a series for ourselves, for both of us. So I know you're doing a hiking series, so I think that's a nice place to start on like how you came to that and why, you know, like why is that so aligned with you? Why can't like somebody, Joe Schmo from around the way, like, why couldn't he have done that, but you can?
How I came up with the hiking idea was a lot easier in hindsight. I think we make a lot of things, we try to overcomplicate to make it seem like we're being more productive or the thing that we're doing is more grandiose than it actually is. But through trying to figure out what works for me in terms of being creative, uh, getting a sense of a spiritual, mental, physical reset, as well as making money. Again, we're both entrepreneurs, so we work for ourselves. We don't have a system already created for us. We have to go through that, you know, trial by fire, go through that fire and figuring out what works for us. Um, and that is where that came about. So after trying to go through a bunch of like e-commerce and merchandise and trying to do what I see other people having success with, I kind of just looked inward and just wrote down the list of what am I interested in. We're talking about artists having their own series and having their own shows, so to speak. When you think of a series, although it is all under one concept mainly, there's a whole bunch of subplots. So the show may be Ozark, for example. It's a family who gets caught up in the Mexican drug cartel. Cool. But there's subplots. The father has one, his dealings with the head of the cartel. The wife has one, being the wife of a man being controlled by the cartel. The kids have a subplot. The neighbors have a subplot. So for us as artists, I'm a songwriter, but I also like to hike, a subplot. I also like to read, a subplot. I like tea, a subplot. I like fit. You see where I'm going.
Yeah, yeah.
It was as simple as writing that list down or just thinking about what are my other interests that come naturally that I don't have to work so hard to uh, promote, display. Display is the word. Um,
Hmm.
Very lengthy explanation, but that's how that came about. Kind of just turning inward. What do I like to do? And figuring out how I can integrate music with super moment.
So, do you feel as if that you putting everything into a content series turns you really like into a bigger public figure? Because it seems like everything that is a hobby or everything that is a part of your life can be something that can be contentified, whatever. And it does kind of look at the artist as, honestly, like the Truman Show. You know what I mean? Where your whole life is a almost a means of somebody else's entertainment, amusement, and we know that doing that will excel us, or we can gain the favor of public opinion. Like, how are you able to kind of be natural in these things that you love to do? Because making a series is something anybody can do. When all you just said is just, if anything, just like putting a camera up, and if anything, presenting yourself, doing something you'd already done anyway.
That
But
that's it.
yeah.
It's I'm not being informative. Like not a it's not a series. I feel like we use the analogy of a series when we're talking about the types of content or the variety of content. I'm not sectioning off any part of myself. This is just what I naturally be doing. Today I'm going to post something about music. Tomorrow I may post something else about the hike. The next day I might post a new book that I found. It's not necessarily series. It's stuff that I'd be doing anyway, off camera, and I'm just putting a camera. I that's all it is. It's not that more complicated than that. It's what do you like to do? What are you doing naturally? What are you doing offline? And then just do it online. Don't even do it online. Just put the camera up while you're doing it. Yeah.
So would you say it's less performance and more documentation?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, comes with experience. This post may be, I have a call to action. Like this is supposed to be something. And some things I'm just putting up a camera and I'm doing. Whether, like workout content, or there may be some things where I'm like, this is intentionally for something. You kind of,
Mhm.
whatever the situation calls for.
Yeah, it's tough because that transition is very hard to almost like be comfortable with, because I feel like as artists we're all kind of we have this bit of introvert um like nature to us. So it's hard to say that it comes naturally, even though the thing that we're doing is natural to us. So you could be a producer, but you hopping on stream making beats might feel a bit awkward, because you're just like people just see like your face while cooking up, and sometimes that could be just like super serious, but you're like, oh, I gotta record, I gotta put a camera up. So I only would say this because it does feel like you have to be an entertainer. You know what I mean? You do have to, let's say if, let's say 50 people are on your live every time you go live. You know what I mean? You do want to like do something, or like, it's like taking care of little kids. You know what I mean? You can't really just like sit there on your phone and like ignore them and be like, oh yeah, you kind of have to like talk, or make them laugh or do something. And I think in a way that draws a same analogy to being online. Like it's not just about being seen. It's about almost like being interactive. So for you, when did you realize that you had to do like work on yourself, maybe, or just some type of like, hey, I need to be show more my person. I need to put my personality in my documentation so people can be entertained, or people can stick around or feel the enthusiasm in what I'm doing.
Being in artist development, you see what people actually support when it comes to artists.
Mm,
It is rarely the music. Now, yes, the music is the foundation. You need great music. That is subjective, of course, but you need music that sounds good. That's the base. But after that, there is an artist who makes similar music than you. Like everybody should know that. There's millions of artists. You are not special at all. What
mhm.
different and special is your perspective and things that you like to do. So once I kind of recognize that pattern within the artist that I'm developing, and then seeing that the successful artists that I follow and I support that they're doing the same thing. I'm like, oh, okay, why don't I just see what this how doing it this way is like, leading with me instead of leading with my music. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was always this way, and we've kind of just been told that gimmicks and certain things work and trends and things like that because we've seen one person blow up from it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always been that way. From Michael Jackson to Jay-Z to all of these legacy artists, the rollouts don't work unless they're being themselves. The albums don't sell unless they are being themselves. Um, that's all how it always has been. That's how it is now, and that's how it always will be. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know if I
Yeah,
answered.
no, you did because it's almost like the quickest way to escape. There's a quote by Naval Ravikant where he says, "The quickest way to escape competition is through authenticity." And so, I always feel like what you're saying is like being yourself is the way to show up because that's what ultimately people are buying into. They're buying into who you are rather than what you do. You know what I mean? It's almost like you can be a fitness coach, right? So everybody's doing fitness advice on YouTube, but it's just like how you are in it is what kind of dictates like, oh, I want to get a course from this person or I want to, keep watching their videos or like, yo, this is what I need to listen to, after my workout, pre-workout, whatever it may be. So I think that is a good point. I think what is tough and something else I've been realizing is that people feel, I don't know, it's almost like you can get lost in your head in terms of like, oh my God, am I being a puppet? Because I would say the internet rewards certain type of personalities.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So, okay, if you post like this, these type of content formats, da da da. You know what I mean? Get to the point. All these things, these are like they're all like conditions you have to be put under to be successful and be seen. So I always like to think about like things that go viral or
Yeah.
things that I have done that's kind of done well and then things that I've done that hasn't gone well. And I'm like, what is a lot of times the silly stuff does well and very rarely has the things I've taken seriously have done well online, which is always funny to me. But how should people perceive it's kind of like, oh, well, I'm already being myself, but it's not equating to like growth online.
I have a two-part answer.
Yeah.
One is, what does working mean? What is success for you? If you're following a trend or you're posting content in what game are you playing? Are you trying to get millions of views? Are you trying to do you want to have a call to action to somebody to buy a shirt or buy a course? Is it simply you want to get 10 to 20 people together in one room and talk about something? What is your actual goal? Is the first thing. Like, define what success in that is for you. It may be small, it may be big, but success is success.
Right.
Is not one thing that deems you successful. And two, this is kind of how I go about how I move online now. It's another system that I wouldn't say I built it, but I've discovered it and how it works for me. One, figure out your purpose here on earth, right? That's aside from your gift, aside from what's fun, which I'll get to next. Figure out your purpose. Why are you actually here? Oftentimes, it has little to do with your skills and your gifts. Um, so that's one. The second is, what are your skills and your gifts? My purpose is to create judgment-free spaces for honest conversations. Now, there's more to that, and I figured that out over time, trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
Those and my gifts to help me serve that purpose is music, is songwriting, production, uh, listening, public speaking, all of that stuff. And then, what is fun? For me, that is hiking, that is reading, that is whatever, plants, like whatever, anime, good movies, all that good stuff. And you combine all of that, and that is how you should be moving online. It's not trends, it's not what other people are doing. You doing what somebody else is doing is never going to work.
Mm-hmm.
It does work, it's not going to work for long because that's not you. So putting those three things together, I guarantee whatever version of success you conclude or are trying to reach, you use that and build the system around that, you will be successful, whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
So that's would be my advice. Those three things. Figure out those three things, you're good.
Yeah, I think that's especially I feel like what everything that you said is foundation.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, that's like foundation work, and it's crazy because we live in an era where people don't prioritize the self. It's funny as very individualistic the society is. I feel like we're not moving honestly because I feel like if you were to move honestly and you wanted to do right by yourself, you would show up a lot better. Like let's say if you're online promoting yourself and your art and your business and da da da, then and that's something you're very passionate about and certain about, then you would move in a certain way. You would move with urgency. You know
What do
what
you
I mean? I think that when you're certain about something and you can see it, then you're urgent to see that outcome, and so that you kind of ooze that in how you move and how you post. You know, I think it's important to realize that like urgency and certainty, like they're kind of related. So if you know that when you get home you got food waiting for you, you know what I mean, you might rush home because you're hungry and you know that will be there. Or like if you really have to use the bathroom, you know what I mean? You can, hey, it's like, yo, I gotta go. You know what I mean? Because I know that when I go there, I'll be able to, like, feel relieved of this, you know? But I feel like, in a way, music or like artistry and creatives, we do have a nonchalant, I think, nature to things. And I've definitely been guilty of this, of being like, oh, um, like, yo, great things take time, you
Mhm.
know? Or like, oh, stars will align eventually, or like, yo, God's plan and da da da. And which are all true to a degree, of course, but I think that's like almost an excuse sometimes to be like, oh, I'm not gonna like push myself, or I'm not gonna be urgent about what I gotta do. And I think everything that you said in terms of a purpose and alignment with yourself and your interests and a vision, I would even add being courageous.
Yes, that's the beautiful thing about it is add and take away as needed. You're sitting
Yeah. Everyone has their own recipe. You
exactly.
know what I mean? But I feel like what you said though was foundational. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So I think it doesn't matter if your recipe doesn't involve what you just said. I don't think that's a recipe that will even work. You know, I don't think that, and that's why I said courageous, because I think if you're not courageous, I don't think you have a chance, personally. Um, because what we're doing again, a lot of these markets we're talking about, whether it's music, fitness, um, hey, outdoorsman type content, whatever, they're all saturated. You know
Mm,
what I mean? You could say we're all in, everything is a saturated market more or less. So I think it's for you, like the impetus is on you to act. It's on you to post. It's on you to be like, what is my series? You know, it's on you to put that on yourself because no one's gonna really beg for it, you
yeah.
know? And people get forgotten all the time. Whoever had the biggest song in 2022, 2023, no one's really asking for that person to drop again, you know, unless they were like, yo, I'm dropping, yo, I'm dropping, yo, I'm dropping. So it is this funny thing of like, hey, I'm authentic. Hey, I'm doing it. But it's kind of like, okay, well, how do you feel about yourself? You know,
Yeah.
what is your goal? Like, what does your goal mean to you? And people feed off of that, you
Yeah.
know?
And even our goals are not unique. I think you are right in all these different markets are oversaturated, but what will never be oversaturated is the way you combine them.
Mm-hmm.
the hiking, the book reading, the songwriting, that will never be oversaturated because it's unique. Everything else, the markets, the algorithms, the whatever, the clothing, all of that, if not already, will become oversaturated over time.
Mm-hmm.
But the things unique to you will never go out of style. They will never dull. They will never like be outdated. So above all else, you have to figure out again what is your series about, and then again with being consistent and making sure your show is always on. But yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It's tough because I feel like a lot of what we're saying involves a lot of introspection, and it involves a lot of strategy.
Yeah,
And I think what we're also talking about, it would mean that you would have to really sit down and take your time with it. You know, it's one thing to do what you love and you're passionate about it, but you need a system, and we talk about this all the time. Like a system in place for you to succeed, a system in place for your series to thrive. And sometimes it'll, you know, I saw a post the other day, like consistency looks really different for everyone. You
mm-hmm.
know, it doesn't really mean every day. Some consistency looks different, but I always say consistency is a consistent effort, not really consistent results. You can't control results, you know? But if you can do consistent effort, then those results will eventually, bend to your will. Um,
And I think it's only hard trying to figure out your algorithm, your system, what to post. It's only hard because you don't know yourself. The
mm,
biggest looking outside of yourself, um, for a better way to post or a better method to whatever. It posting is not hard. Being consistent isn't hard. Having this all this stuff, it's not actually hard. It's just you again, you haven't sat down with yourself and figured out your direction, where you're going, what the goal actually is. Um, all of that again, introspection, all of that inner work. You haven't done it yet. So that's why all this stuff is hard. But bruh, I have to be consistent the same way you have to be consistent, the same way Pip has to be consistent, the same way whoever down the street has to be consistent. It's not different.
mm,
Different. It's just one of us may know ourselves and one of us doesn't.
yeah, and again, it is again, I you have to treat this like no one else cares about this more than you. You know what I mean? I feel like that should be something that everyone should kind of wake up with every day. Like, no one's gonna push move the ball up the road, whatever. You know what I mean? No one's gonna do that for you. Like, you have to do that yourself. And it's funny because sometimes I used to think like, oh, I need a team. Oh, maybe if I had a manager, all these like supplemental things that will make like, oh, this path can be easier. Like, I don't have enough help. Um, what I realize is that we really live in a solopreneur age. Like the the days of you really doing a lot by yourself are here. One man team. Even like one man team, but just having collaborators around you who can kind of fill in here and there. And um, it makes me think, how much work are you doing on your own in terms of like what you do, Jeff? I know for me, I do a lot on my own, but can you really kind of like strong arm yourself to where you want to be, you think, nowadays?
Can you strong arm? No. I think again, the whole example of you broke down, somebody is more likely to help the person who broke down on the side of the road when they see that that person is already pushing themselves or
Mm,
um so I think again back to foundation, there is a underlying like I need to see that you are doing everything in your power before I want to help, because everybody has ideas, everybody doesn't execute them, and it's very, you're putting a lot of trust when you try to help somebody else. So if they're not already trying themselves, you don't see that, it's futile. Um, so I don't I do think you need a team. You need collaborators. I think at first, yes, it's kind of like a prerequisite to just earning your badge as an entrepreneur. I think anybody who just is in it long enough, whether you're successful or not, like you've earned something. Respect at the least. Um, you need to do it by yourself first. I think that's very.
Hmm.
I would not want to rob anybody just getting into music by just telling them you still have no experience. I can't give you experience. I can't. I don't want to do it for you to rob you of that. Yeah,
Yeah, and it makes me think about like working with people who have a vision and people who don't, because helping them is really hard when they don't have a vision because you're trying to like be with them while they create it, or like really put the puzzle pieces down for them and be like, all right, so you know what the puzzle look like, you know what the final thing will look like now. And then it's kind of like, nah, not yet, you know what I mean? You're kind of just like not babying, but you're kind of just like holding their hand in a part of the process where another artist maybe has everything mapped out, in terms of what they want. And it makes me think about the series. I know that some artists do need help with social media, like huge artists, so they're just at a point where, like, hey, somebody helps us with putting puzzle pieces. Whereas if you're an upcoming artist, it's kind of like, yo, like I don't have maybe a payroll to maybe get the help that I need, because it's like, oh, I know that I'm not that. And
yeah,
I think that's what I hear a lot. It's kind of like, bro, like I'm learning how to edit, like I'm learning how to shoot, I'm learning how to whatever, like send emails and sound like I'm my manager or whatever. So it's interesting because it's almost like if you don't learn, you're screwed. You know what I mean? If you're kind of sitting there and being like, oh, okay, well, I have great ideas. I know my ideals will happen in time, and I'm not going to fill like the knowledge gap of what I know will help me succeed. And I
yeah,
think that stubbornness is what holds a lot of people back, because I think a lot of people can do series. I think everyone should do some type of series. But again, it's the gap. It's the gap of what I know.
cut the time and stop lying. Somebody told this to me. I brought up that like I was talking about sync licensing for months. Like I really want to do this. I want to get into it. But I want to. They told me for the simple fact that you haven't started, you don't really want it.
Mm.
You don't want it. And I had to look at myself like, damn, you're right. For the simple fact that I haven't done the research yet. I haven't gone any networking events or any short film festivals like I said I would. I don't want it. So the quicker you can look yourself in the mirror and be honest with yourself, you can move faster. That is a very simple way to speed up. Stop lying to yourself. You know, for the simple fact that you haven't uh learned how to edit or make content or produce yourself or whatever, you don't actually want to do it.
Hmm.
And okay, you don't want to do that. You just want to pay somebody to do it. You don't want to be the best version of yourself. You don't want to be the best artist because the best artists they know how to record themselves. They know how to tell the engineer, "Hey, turn me up this many dB," or "I think this is better for my sound selection. This sounds more like me." They know how to do that. Everybody you listen to knows how to do that successfully. So yeah, mini rant, but for the simple fact that you are not doing it, you don't actually want to do it. And the quicker you can realize that, you'll move on.
Yeah. It's a again, I think we said this on the last pod. I think it's just you versus you. So if you're not able to kind of bring out the demons or look at the skeletons in the closet, whatever it may be, if you're not able to face that, then you're not going to be able to get the best out of yourself. And it is going to be uncomfortable. And that's what I always tell people, like my decision to leave my last 9 to 5 and just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna see what happens and see. I'm just gonna learn. I'm just gonna learn how to actually do all of this. Like that was super vulnerable, and it feels like everything came out after that. Like my life after that has been a constant. Like, oh, I do that. That's not good. It's like, oh, I move like that. Oh, I think like that. Oh, I hang out with these people. Da 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 da. And like everything started to come to light
Mhm.
because I put myself in such a situation where there was no other way but to look.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And again, it was a bit gruesome, a bit direct, but I got the answers. You know what I mean? I got what I was looking for, but it was still on me to keep moving. You
yeah,
know, it's like what they say, every new level is a new devil. So ultimately, as you grow and do more, you're gonna find more things of like, whoa, okay, like that's holding me back, or like, hey, that's a bit negative that I think like that. um it's gruesome, bro, honestly, to be a constant achiever. You know, if you look at like big athletes and big artists and what they go through, the scale of their problems, the scale of the bullshit, you know, on the day to day, you know what I mean? And you know, we complain about other stuff, you
uh-huh.
know, on our level. And then they have a huge like burden on whatever because they're at that level. So if you're not able to handle this, it's kind of like, yo, I can't post every day. It's kind of like, all right, are you in the game though? Like I said, like posting at least once a day is just you in the game.
Are in the early. And for all the hell that we've gone through, are going through, and will go through, it is nowhere near as gruesome as staying complacent.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is powerful. We know what we go through. We know what we've gone through, and we can we can predict what we will go through.
Mhm.
It is not as gruesome as staying complacent, and you keep that in your mind. Whoever, everybody, keep that in your mind. It is not as gruesome as
Yeah. I just again, just all we can do is be a role model. I feel like at the end of the day, because bro, you know, you're in the industry of helping, you know, like really coaching and mentoring and development side, and you've seen it for yourself on what people actually do despite being given a wealth of information. And hey, even the wealth of information, we all have it on our phones. Everybody listens to the same advice or the same, hey, this is how you get ahead, da da da. And you know, there's a lot of funny videos about like how crazy artist development is nowadays, or like artist marketing, or like what an artist needs to do in 2026. And it does feel like a bit of a carnival, you know, like a circus. But at the end of the day, bro, you either do it, you either strive towards it, or you don't even move because you're paralyzed at what you have to do. You know what I mean? It's almost like it's like a big wave. You know how like surfers, they see a big wave and they go into it. You know what I mean? That's the rush. You know what I mean? You see a big wave, a surfer wants to whatever, like surf through it. Like they're like, yeah, I live for this. Like I want the thrill of doing this, of conquering, you know? Whereas another artist who's, let's say, who's a surfer might see a huge wave and they're just like, nah, I'm going back to shore, you know? And we all choose. We all just choose, I think.
it's all the same, bruh. So
Yeah.
with what is it? So within, so without. You have to conquer yourself first. It's
Mhm.
that is the hard part. Marketing, uh, content, bruh. Put up a camera and dance. Put up a camera and cook. Talk to this person. Go on this platform. It's not hard. We all do the same shit. Again,
Right.
I won't even claim to say this, but for the sake of the example, I know myself and you don't. That's why it's hard for you. That's why. And that's what it was hard for us in the beginning of our careers and journeys, is because we were discovering ourselves. That is the hard part. But now that we have a sense of who we are, what we stand for, why we're here, that shit is easy. It's easy.
It's simple.
It's simple. Thank you. It's simple. Yes.
Yeah, it's simple. Yeah, because I think those two words are like a very big like distinction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think me thinking about it like that honestly like humbles me because I'm like, okay, if things are simple, why am I making it hard? You know what I mean? So you're again conquering yourself again. Am I someone that makes it harder for myself in daily life? If it's yes, you're probably going to put it in your career. You know, you're probably doing it in your fitness. You're probably doing it in how you're relating to others, whatever your friendships and relationships. And I always say this like the way you do one thing is the way you do everything.
Yeah.
So if you conquer yourself and you're a stronger, disciplined like individual, that's gonna bleed into what you do. That's gonna bleed into your consistency in your work, the intentionality in your content, and the bravery you exhibit in your work and how you present it. Again, this just takes a lot of self development, and
Which
not one that you learn in school, but the one you'd face every time you wake up.
yeah.
So I would only, and again, it feels like everything we're saying is simple once you deal with that foundation that you shared earlier on, in terms of purpose and vision and interests. And yeah, and all we can do is try to be a beacon of light in this. And again, it's just funny. It's just funny because a lot of times the answers are the same, you
They're
know?
always the same, bro. Nothing's changed in the millions of years as how
Yeah,
since life has existed. We learn
right.
lessons. Nothing's changed. It,
Hmm.
the Again, going back to what you said, the urgency of self-exploration. Like my biggest advice to somebody is to not find somebody who is the most successful in what you want to do, but find somebody who helps you answer the hard questions
Hmm.
to get to know yourself.
Right.
And the rest is simple. Yeah, yeah, bro. Even like, these talks between me and you, I it helps. It's a lot of confirmation, a lot of like light bulbs and realization. And when we talk, I talk through my own mental blocks.
Yeah.
And yeah, bro. Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, like to get back on series, because now we've kind of described like what does it take to do one successfully. A lot of times it isn't about the series itself, rather than who is driving that vehicle.
yeah,
And even for me, I'll just spotlight myself. Me doing interviews is something I wanted to do because I'm like, hey, I don't want to be in the spotlight all the time. I want to be someone that gives value to others. And if I can be known as someone that shines the light rather that is in the light, I think that would be I don't know, I think that is something that is unlike my nature. And I only say that because as an artist, you are in the spotlight all the time. That's the part of being an artist. You're a performer, it's you. You know what I mean? That's what people are they're buying into. So I had to look at myself and being like, how do I want to build an organization and do I want to be the face of it? You know? Do I want that attention? Do I want the vanity of being like, hey, he's the one that's saving us. He's the one that's helping us. He's the one that is a or do I want to be like, hey, I want to orchestrate systems in which I can uplift others and it's not about me per se and I can be an orchestrator. And that took me years to come to that even point where I can organize something like this and it's like, yeah, that's how I want to be perceived. Like I can be that person for another 5, 10 years. So again, really tough because it takes a lot of who am I questions. And I
yeah.
think the who am I questions people feel uncomfortable about. Me and my homie Amal, we talked about this yesterday. When I seen him, just this notion of what do people really envision for themselves, not what you do for a living. Again, in the US, we're obsessed with that. Really attaching our identity to what we do, like to our day jobs, not even what we do, just to our attaching identity to our day jobs. And really being like, okay, but like, what do you want? Like, what will you, die for? You know, besides, the good old family, and your loved ones, like what do you really want to see in this world, and how are you making a clear strategy on how to achieve that? That's big. That's a big thing. That's a big question for people to ask. In this world of temptations and distractions, it's hard to really focus on what that could be. And I feel like in this age we live in, I feel like that answering that question may sooner or later become irrelevant.
Mm,
Um,
what do you mean?
and I think in a way, when you can't have silence, you almost can't analyze yourself.
Mm,
And with the way technology and our day to day is set up, is that we don't want you to be in silence. We don't want you to not have a dopamine hit. There has to be a dopamine hit hitting you from every point of your life and day, whether it's on your phone, on your TV. Hey, bro, even your box of cereal has shit on the back that says, "Hey, this is where the cereal came from. Here's what the family's about. Follow us on Instagram. Here's a QR code." So everything is like a billboard, essentially. So now you're at a point where you're constantly being talked to. You're constantly being entertained. And what that takes away is silence. What that takes away is connection with each other. And ultimately, those two things is what enables you to ask, who am I? Like, who am I even to relation to my community, in my relation to this market space that I'm in, in my industry. So I think that now that we're moving in this hyper commercialized world, and that we're so immersed within it, we have to ask, do people have the bandwidth, the mental bandwidth to really look within themselves and to say, what am I willing to fight for, without being, not being able to separate themselves from this world? Because I think that's what you need, especially as a man. You need solitude, you know, to really figure shit out.
you don't have an option. The world will progress, evolve, and take more important. The root has never changed. You need silence. You need that time to reflect. You do not have a choice if you want to reach a higher level, so to speak, whether it's your whatever, your social status, your finances, anything. You need time to reflect, analyze, and plan, strategize, and move. There's no choice. You have no option. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why we see this, you know, or I'm not perfect, but that I see the difference between how I was raised or the lessons that I've learned or situations I've been put in versus those who have come after us.
Mm-hmm.
Why you see a lot more lazy people. This is why you see a lot of people who don't want to work but don't understand that even if you work for yourself or you're doing something fun and creative, it is 10 times as hard and more work. Um, I don't know. I think when you crack that code or that light bulb goes off, that it's not an option. It gets the path becomes a little well. The path, there's a path now. You're not just floating, but without that, you're just a puppet. Kind of like you said in the beginning, you're just a puppet, and you know it may take you 80 years or however long for you to realize like you could have done more.
Yeah. The pain of regret, over the comfort of, instant gratification. you know?
Way, like you said.
And I feel like we just reward instant gratification so much. Again, back to the dopamine hits, back to just being rewarded so quickly, sometimes for not doing anything. Think about how big sports betting has become. Now that is, you can get it on your phone.
Hmm.
That's relatively new. And now you can earn money from your couch. Um, or yeah, DoorDash, Uber Eats, and how you can get, you know, bacon mac and cheese, with a fried chicken sandwich. We can get one right now if we want. You know what I mean? But again, it's just these things that we don't really have to work for. And on top of that, the being paid every week. Some jobs do get paid every week. Some jobs, again, 2 weeks. But that gratification reprograms us to be like, wait, if I'm gonna get in shape, it might take 6 months to a year. Oh, like, oh, I'm whatever, taking a being an entrepreneur, it's gonna take what, a decade, at least, and all these things that are good, but they just have different timetables.
Yeah.
Um, Getting good at content might take whatever. Being a good producer, DJ, songwriter, we've been doing this for a big chunk of our lives.
Well,
So I feel like now that we are, and there's still more to learn. That's the funny thing about all of it. It's not even like, all right, time to kick your feet up. It's a more like, oh, I actually love the grind. I actually love learning. Again, like I was saying, like, oh, I love the gap. I love the knowledge gap. Oh, I don't know today. Okay, cool. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna learn tomorrow, and that's okay. And that gets me excited because I'm gonna be a better version of that today. I feel like we've lost almost an excitement for ignorance.
yes, yes. It's exactly what you said. It's not, I don't even like these terms or hustle culture, grinding, work. It's meditation, learning a new skill, learning something new about yourself. This whole personal growth journey, it is meditation. And a lot of people feel the way they do is because they're not in a flow state or a meditative state. They are just doing a job to get to a false version of a meditative state or flow state, whether it's I'm working for the weekend. We hear it all the time. I'm saving up for a vacation. I'm saving up to escape, building a life around something that puts you in that flow state where your work is meditation. You're not only serving your purpose, but you're using your God given talents. You're having fun and you're serving at the same time. That is the goal. But work, grind, hustle, like those are lies too. They just sound cool. They sound good, but I ain't trying to hustle for the rest of my life. I
Hell no.
want to do purposeful work.
Right. Yeah. And I guess it's just the journey to that, There's a video I watched uh that was really profound. It's just about being outcome independent and that you should try to not think about what you're getting and what you're doing because that helps you enjoy what you're doing.
Hmm.
And I think back to this gratification, what gratification is kind of saying is that what I'm doing is dependent. You're outcome dependent. So it's like, yeah, I'm only doing this job because of, I need money. It's like, oh yeah, I'm only doing this so I can get that.
Yep.
Like I'm only copping this because my homie said da da da. Like I'm
Hmm.
only taking this trip because I don't want to be left out. And you want to people please, or you want to keep up with the Joneses, whatever it may be. The more and more you think about it, you realize that a lot of people are outcome dependent, which is why they can never get their independence, financial independence, or, you know, and really be healthy out here, really break themselves off from the matrix, you know? So I think at that point, if you're in that, like how are you gonna like grow? Like honestly, how are you gonna grow into something that you dream about? And everything that I said, that I just said, is messy. Like I heard, like self improvement is messy. Shit is all over the place. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? What we're talking about here is not clear cut or linear. You know what I mean? It's an evolution of events that compound over time, and that consistency sways. And so it's important to realize that and to have grace with yourself. But then again, it's kind of like, hey, I'm trying to get in shape. The first 2 weeks were kind of meh. I didn't like it, so I'm done. It's kind of like, all right, well, you know what I mean? That was a part of it. You know what I mean? You did it, but you didn't stick around for the good stuff.
you know,
Hmm.
you can get the point of exercising or eating right or whatever. Any of these things that are hard, you didn't get the point.
Yeah,
Again, you said it perfect. I couldn't have said it better myself. Outcome dependent. Yeah.
yeah. So, for anybody that is outcome dependent doing content, especially doing their own content series, what advice would you have for them?
Well, one, stop doing.
Hmm.
It.
Right.
Again, it starts with that foundation. Figure out your purpose. Audit your skills and your gifts that come naturally. Um, Audit your interests that may not come naturally, but you are genuinely interested in, and get back to having fun again. A lot of life is not fun because we are outcome dependent, and we want something from it. We want. When you stop wanting, things become lighter and more fun. And no, we we've heard the saying, you cannot beat somebody who's having fun.
Hmm.
I could be in the room. I could be in a room with another songwriter, but he's trying to write a hit song so that he can do X, Y, and Z, and I'm just having fun.
Hmm.
9 times out of 10, gonna come out with the hit song and be having a great time, not even thinking about that I got a hit. And he or she is gonna be pissed because they had an outcome, they had a desire, they had a want for something. So that's my advice, bro. Is stop what you're doing, especially if it's not fun. That's the first indicator of you shouldn't be doing this, and take a couple steps back. Um, Rediscover yourself, learn yourself. If you haven't started that journey already, and then reapproach content and these things that are required of us, um, audience, or to connect with our audience. Yeah.
Hmm.
What would your advice be?
Face the things that make you uncomfortable about yourself, and to really put a microscope under what you're scared of in this world and when you post, because the more that you can identify what those things are, then overcoming it becomes a process that actually will have a desirable end. And so if you choose to keep walking in that path of growth, you have a chance. But if you never look that way, you will always have that burden, or like it's almost like a cancer that grows within you, of why you can't like expose yourself or be vulnerable online, or to tell stories, or to be that person you want to be. So I think, like we said, a huge theme today is, um, that self development work is foundational. And without it, you can't continue. Not meaningful, not meaningfully anyway. So that's what I would say.
My favorite episode.
I can't even keep track. I can't even. I don't even know. I love them, and then I'm like, all right, I forgot them. So, all
Nah,
right.
it's a feeling thing. Like we talked. It wasn't only like helpful information, but personal. Like personally, again,
Mhm.
I found something, and I will find what they're looking
Nah, I appreciate you, Jeff. This was a hit close to home, especially when we talk about topics we are growing through, um, but are also relevant. But yeah, this is a wrap for episode 15, Paradox Podcast with my brother Jeff, and we are out.